What's going on YouTube? My friends, welcome back. This is LTH. My name is Abe and I'm your host of this series of how to set up a home lab. We are going to be talking about Nextcloud, which is a network-wide backup with a phone application that you can also upload your pictures to for redundancy and safety if you were to lose your phone, right? And I've actually had this happen to me on a cruise. I lost all my images because my phone got water damage. So even when you're on a cruise and you hit land or you get internet on that ship, let's back up your pictures so you don't lose them like I did, all right? And we are going to host Nextcloud within our Proxmox environment in just a couple clicks. Have a website with notes for every video that we make. You can change between them over here. You can find this series on the top, and you can scroll through the article itself by clicking the table of contents on the right. We also have copyable commands that you can then directly paste into the command line if they're lengthy or you're just feeling lazy. So, in today's video, we are going to be using something called Turnkey. You can pause the video real quick. This is a built-in solution to Proxmox, but it essentially gives you containers that you can utilize within Proxmox to give yourself solutions like Nginx, media servers, Nextcloud, nodes, Jenkins, etc. So what you're going to need to do is log into your home router, your OPNsense box, or your home router if it allows you to set static IP addresses, which most do. And then we're going to need to log into our Proxmox environment. So go ahead and do that. Unpause this video when you're there. Okay, so what we need to do is open up our specific server. This one is PVE. Go down to local PVE, and we are going to see over here something called CT templates, container templates. And in here, we can click that tab and then we click templates, and here's a list of most of those turnkey containers already installed on our machine. So here on the top right, we are just going to search Nextcloud, and boom, it is right here. So go ahead and download this. Unpause this video when you get that notorious task OK symbol. Okay, so now that that has been downloaded, we need to just go up to the top right, click create a container, set a host name. So I'm going to do LTH Nextcloud, and then a password for our machine. And then we can click next. And now we're going to have a template option right here. Click next. And in this case, you could always attach another storage device and dedicate that just to being your Nextcloud device. That's fine. In our case, for the purpose of video, we're not going to do that. You should also make the disk size as big as possible if you're going to do lots of pictures and documents backups, right? In our case, I'm going to leave it default because I'm not going to upload anything really to this, just for the purpose of this video. But this needs to be very big, especially if you're going to do phone backups and blah, 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 right? Under here, I'm going to do 2 CPUs because I think you should at least do 2. This uses about 39 megabytes of RAM. When you're uploading pictures and stuff, it'll obviously use more, so you can increase this. Remember, this isn't saying that your other devices can't use this allocated RAM. It's just saying when this device is in use, it could use up to the amount of RAM at which you specify. And then your network, we need to set a static IP address for this device. Now you're going to log into your OPNsense machine. You're going to go under services, DHCP, and LAN, and we set a static address right here. You need to just make sure that you haven't used the IP address that you're going to statically assign. You can go under your leases tabs, and here you can look and make sure that you don't have an IP address being used. So you can actually see a gap between 19 and 31. So we could use 20 through 30, right? Because they're not being used. Under our LAN tab, we would just also make sure that that IP address is not being used. In our case, 20 is not being used. So I'm going to use 20 for my device. I'm going to put it in here, and then it asks for CIDR notation. So I'm going to do a /24, and then in here we need the gateway, which is your router or your OPNsense machine's IP address, right? that is the beginning of the IP range. Our DNS is assigned by our machine, so we don't need to touch that. And then we can confirm all of our settings right here and click finish. Now come back to this video once you've gotten that task okay. Okay, so we got the task okay. So I'm going to close this and we can find our container at the top. If you did not know this, containers go above virtual machines. So you can actually see the numbers are now out of order, but if you're looking for your machine down here, oh, it didn't create it, it's probably at the top. I'm going to go ahead and start this. Okay, and so now we are presented with the login. It's going to be root and then whatever the password is that you set. And this puts us straight into a config wizard. I have a password typed out on my Obsidian that I'm going to just put in here. But pay attention, like your MySQL database, username and password. Click OK. And then here we can now see it's asking what do we want our admin account password to be. Whoops. Paste. And so I'm going to type that one in there. And then right here it's going to ask for a domain name. You don't need to assign a domain name unless you are going to try to access this from that domain name or that public IP address. You can also change this later, but I'm going to skip that for now. We are not using an IP or an API to do any crazy backups with turnkey management. So we're going to skip this by clicking our tab key twice and enter. And then you can receive notifications for this via email. So you could type your real email address in here if you want. I'm going to skip that. And then we should always install security updates. So go ahead and do that and come back to this video once those are done. Okay, so go ahead and copy these into a clipboard. I've already done so. So I'm going to click advanced menu, or excuse me, back. We don't need to do anything here. So what we're going to do is click Control C to exit this. Now there's one thing that they don't really tell you until you go to the IP address of the website. So if I go to this IP address and I load here and I proceed, we can see that there's no way it's an untrusted domain. If I click the documentation, it kicks me to here and it says, hey, you need to create a trusted domain in the config PHP file. Okay, well, where do we go? How do we get there? So I'm going to tell you. So open this again. And in here, let me close that one. In here, we go to the following. Let me just grab it. We're going to use nano. So nano, this location, this will be on the article on the website. Click enter, and we can see this section at the top called trusted domains. So you can just change a couple things if you want, but I'm going to grab the website version because it's formatted correctly so we don't get any errors. And I'm going to go in here, and right here, I'm going to delete this all the way up and through the trusted domains right until the edge and click paste. And now we have a really pretty setup. So if you're the local host like we are right now, virtualized into this machine, we can use this. We can use the local URL, and then we need to use the IP address, and this is the one we really care about. So I'm going to do 50.20 because that's the IP address of the machine. And then you could also use the MAC address if you want. We don't care about that. So I'm actually going to delete that. And then we also aren't going to really use this one. So I can delete this one as well. And then go here and put 1 and then click Control X, Y to save, and enter. So if we go back over to the website and I reload this page, we now have access. So this is admin and then that password that you set in the GUI, and click login. And we are in our Nextcloud machine. But before we go further, there's one thing that we need to do. We need to go back to our OPNsense machine and we need to set that static IP address. So that's going to be under services, DHCP, LAN, click the plus button, and then you're going to type the IP address of your machine in here. So we're going to put our IP address in here, and then we need the MAC address. We'll grab that here in just a second, but we're going to do LTH Nextcloud, and then the description can be Nextcloud. But to grab the MAC address, you come back over to your Proxmox machine, click network. Let me make this a little bit smaller. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you select your Ethernet device, and the MAC address is right in there. So it's under your container, network, and then right there. And so I'll put this up here and click save and apply changes. And now that's statically assigned. So back over here, this is it. So kind of to give you an idea of how to use Nextcloud, you have your admin, your status, your users up here. You can add more apps under the apps tab, and then, go through these featured apps, install those things that you may care about, but probably 99% of you are going to use the files section. And so these are by default set up. You can create new files or upload them here. So like you could click on photos, and then in here you could click plus and upload files to this folder, and then go to your downloads folder and like click upload like that. And then it's going to put that file in here right there. So that is the basics. Let's move over to our phone, and I will show you how to upload images from your phone using the Nextcloud app. Okay, so now on our phone, we're just going to type, HTTPS, like this, our IP address, 192.168.50.20, click enter. And then, do we trust the certificate? Yes, we do trust it. So we're going to go ahead and connect. And then we will just click advanced, proceed. And then we can log in. So here, you're just going to type your username and that password that you created and log in. Click grant access. And your account is connected. And so now we can close this window. So we go back here, we can see that we now have access. So that little plus icon on the bottom is where you will click to upload files from your phone to your Nextcloud machine. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. My name is Abe. This is LTH. Signing out.